All right, let's go microscopic for a minute to tackle a really huge question. What are we and pretty much every living thing on this planet actually made of? It really all comes down to life's most fundamental building blocks. Think about it this way. A house is built from thousands and thousands of individual bricks, right? They all work together to make something solid. So, what are the bricks that make up you, me, and even the plants growing outside? Well, the answer is one of the biggest and most powerful ideas in all of biology. It's the idea that all life, and I mean all of it, is built from the exact same kind of basic building blocks. You know, the story goes that the first person to see these was looking at a piece of cork under a microscope, and what he saw reminded him of the little rooms in a honeycomb, or maybe the rooms where monks lived in a monastery. So he called them cells. And that name just stuck because it's the perfect way to picture it. Life is built from these countless tiny, organized little rooms. So, what exactly is a cell? Simple. It's the absolute basic unit of life. It's not just the structure that makes up an organism, it's also the tiny little engine that actually carries out all the functions of being alive. Everything, and I mean everything, starts right here. And when I say everything is built from them, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around the scale. Just to give you an idea, the average adult human body, it's made of somewhere between 50 and 60 trillion cells. That number is just staggering. And every single one is its own tiny living marvel. Okay, but how in the world do you get from trillions of individual cells to a super complex organism, like a person or a giant tree? Well, the secret is organization. Life builds itself up one incredible layer at a time. It's this beautiful, logical hierarchy. See, you start with the basic cells. Now, when a bunch of similar cells get together to do a specific job, they form a tissue. Think of muscle tissue, for example. Then, when different tissues group up, they form an organ, like your heart. Those organs then team up in organ systems. The heart is part of the circulatory system, right? And finally, you put all those systems together, and you get the complete organism. It's just an incredible system of cooperation. So now that we've seen the big picture, let's zoom all the way back in. Let's take a quick look inside one of these amazing little cellular factories. So, inside every cell, you've got these even tinier specialized parts called organelles. Each one has a very specific job to do. Think of the cell membrane as the bouncer at the door, the gatekeeper deciding what gets in and out. The cytoplasm is like the jelly-like factory floor where everything happens. The mitochondria, those are the power plants, busy generating energy. And the nucleus, well, that's the head office, the CEO. Yeah, the nucleus is the command center. It is literally the brain of the cell. It's in charge of everything because it holds all the genetic blueprints, the chromosomes. Let's be real, without the nucleus, the cell would have no idea what to do. But here's a twist. Not all cells are created equal. They share a lot of the same basic parts, sure, but there are some really important differences between the cells that make up plants and the cells that make up animals. And you can spot the key differences right away. Animal cells have a flexible outer membrane, but plant cells have a much more rigid cell wall on the outside for support. And while animal cells have to go find food, plant cells can actually make their own, using these amazing little things called chloroplasts. And check out the storage space. Plant cells usually have one huge central vacuole, while animal cells just have a few small ones. Let's look a little closer at what makes plant cells so special. That rigid cell wall, that's what gives plants their structure and lets them stand up straight and grow tall. The chloroplasts are basically tiny solar-powered food factories that make photosynthesis happen. It's why plants are green. And that giant vacuole in the middle, it's like a huge water tank, keeping the cell firm and storing all sorts of important stuff. So, when you boil it all down, it all comes back to this one really powerful idea. From the tiniest single cell to the most complex creature you can imagine, everything is built on this elegant, organized system. It's pretty much the fundamental rule of biology. Which leaves us with one last thing to think about. If a giant redwood tree and a person are both built from the same kind of bricks, from cells, what is it deep down in their cellular instructions that makes them so incredibly fundamentally different? Now that's a fascinating question.